What up, Brad fans? This episode, we're talking conspiracy theories. Why? Because they're so fun and so frustrating. And usually, there's just a tiniest nugget of science or truth that starts the whole thing. This tiny little nugget that gets blown out of proportion, misconstrued, misinterpreted, whether purposely or not. And so we're taking the opportunity to debunk, if we can, some of them surrounding coronavirus, as this is in my wheelhouse. And to help me do this, I have two good friends joining the podcast all the way from Vancouver. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get weird with Too Bad For You Does Conspiracy Theories.
All right, welcome back, folks. This is a special edition, breaking news conspiracy theory edition. And for this, I'm joined by two good friends over on the West Coast of Canada, chilling, living large. One has been on the show already, so making his second appearance, Mr. Robby Scheurs, aka Rob Micheals. What's up, Robbie?
Hey, Brad. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, no worries. And first time, long time, Jared Cuthbertson over there in Vancouver as well. What's your sweet handle you're rolling with these days? Sweet Chief Sweet Jeep or
Yeah, Chief Sweet Jeep. Yeah, we'll go with Chief Sweet Jeep for now.
All right, sweet. Well, we had the idea for this show. Well, I don't know. I think it was Jared. You and I concocted the idea for this show because I'll be the first to admit that you are my go-to guy when it comes to weird internet stuff.
I am unstable.
Correct. I don't know what it was, but like I think we've bonded over weird internet stuff, and you've gotten me into some weird Instagram accounts.
Oh, that's right.
All sorts of crazy stuff that I quite enjoy.
Yeah, we both got blocked by that one account.
Did we get blocked?
The number guy? Yeah,
not
the number guy. It was that guy. He had a clothing store, a conspiracy theory clothing store. I'm asking too many questions.
Yeah. Don't dig too deep. Don't dig too deep. But I guess that's the tone. That's what we wanted to do today. Because I don't know, Jared, you end up sending me this stuff, and it's always hilarious. And then I find myself just getting really angry at once I start.
You get angry at the deep state.
That's right. Once I start digging a little bit deeper, I'm always just like, oh,
you feel foolish.
Really? Yeah. Well, I feel foolish for.
You feel blind to be such a sheep. Yeah, I get it.
All right, and then so yeah, the idea of we'll pick apart some of these conspiracy theories as deep as we can. Maybe we'll end up proving them true. I don't know. And then any other sort of mysteries of science that we're into at the moment. But let's start with the hot topic, the most topical of conspiracy theories right now: Wuhan.
That woohoo, baby.
Coronavirus. Jared, do you want to introduce where you got the conspiracy theory? What is the conspiracy? Like, what's the latest? What are we hearing?
I believe the conspiracy theory is that the Chinese government has been creating this virus in a lab, and they have released it onto the public as a means of population control.
Population control.
There was that one. There was a journalist, I believe, who went missing.
Oh, right.
And I'm sure, and the Chinese government is currently searching for him, and I'm sure he'll turn up any day now.
Let's also make sure that we use the appropriate air quotes for journalists when we speak of some of these people. Because this is what I've noticed is the quality of journalism in a lot of these conspiracy sites, I would say, is subpar at best.
Yeah, it's somewhere between Crackpot and BuzzFeed.
Well, I kind of like it because you don't have to actually read a whole article, right? You can get most of your information from the title, believe it, move on.
Classic. Good move. Well, okay. Was the virus created in a lab? Where is that coming from? And so I did a little, because we got some of this from Woke Hub.
Right.
Woke Hub, the Instagram account, which is a
First
great.
of all, if you're not getting all your news from Instagram, you've made a grave mistake. And
That's right.
Woke Hub
Yeah.
is the CNN of Instagram news.
it's something. It follows in a great tradition of websites with hub in the name as being quality stuff. Yeah, so let me take what was the one that I found from Woke Hub. Creator of US Bioweapons Act says coronavirus is biological warfare weapon. All right. So they're basing this whole thing on, well, the fact that it's a virus. So right away, people are like, oh, yeah, it's a virus. It must be, that's biological warfare. Yes, you can use viruses as biological warfare. Personally, I don't really understand the logic behind it because it's like, how do you contain it? If you unleash it, there's no control of it. Like you're just gonna kill. Like if the idea is to like unleash it on another country and then hope that it doesn't blow back onto you, like
Yeah.
that's not a very good strategy at all.
It's like
Um,
the chemtrail thing, right?
yeah, you're spraying everything.
Everyone's getting fucking sprayed. What are you talking about? Everybody's down here. Like, I don't care how much money you have. You're also down here on the ground.
Exactly. So that's just the basic. But we do know that like people do research into viruses and stuff like that in order to usually just see how to combat them because these things are normal things that pop up every once in a while. So anyway, they have this whole thing. They have this guy, right? Like they're basing it on this interview with this guy who what's his name? Francis Boyle. He's a professor at the University of Illinois College of Law. So I looked him up. He's a legit dude. Like he's a legit dude. But here's the fucking thing. He's a lawyer. He doesn't
Oh.
he's not an expert in viruses or anything at all. He's a lawyer and he did draft like a law that's about bioterrorism and biological warfare. But basically he just drafted this law that defined under the law what bioterrorism is or what biowarfare is. So he has no medical knowledge, no, virus knowledge, none of this stuff, no genetics knowledge, nothing like this. And basically the guy is like 70 years old and from what I see going on these crackpot YouTube channels being like, "Yep, Wuhan coronavirus. What do you do? What's the first thing if or he gets asked the question, is it a bioweapon?" And he's like, "Yep,
Yeah.
most definitely." You know why? Because when you Google, does China have a level 4 biosafety lab? They do.
They
And it's
do.
in Wuhan. Yeah.
I
So
mean,
biosafety level 4 is the highest. Like that's the most strict biology
okay.
lab you can get. This is where they keep Ebola. This is where they keep, all that shit.
Yeah.
So he's made the conclusion that lab exists near the city where there's a virus outbreak. Therefore, it's definitely biological weapon.
I mean, it does track.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm sold right now.
it's a
Okay,
it's a little convenient, isn't it?
right.
I
So that
mean,
okay, that's one part of it. I mean, that's also like saying, you know, uh I can't think of a good analogy
yeah,
now. Shit.
exactly.
The guy's
Stumped you,
got me.
didn't
The
it?
guy's got me beat. The guy's got me beat.
Boyle MD or Boyle attorney at law has stumped you.
Attorney at law. What was his next point? He then goes on to say that, yeah. So he Googled. They have a lab. Great. So because they have a lab is where it comes from. And then he goes on to say that because it's a lab that houses these virus, this one is most definitely engineered. So it's been engineered. They've taken SARS and engineered it to be stronger, better, more deadly.
They whooped it
And
up.
then, yeah, they whooped it up. They Wuhaned it.
Yeah.
And then and then he quotes these numbers on death tolls and shit like this. And mind you, this was very early. They broke this story very early on in the outbreak. I think it's from like January.
Mhm.
And if you know anything about diseases or epidemiology, the study of outbreaks, which,
I
this
do.
guy
I'll take this one, Brad.
yeah.
I think you're out of your depth here a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want you to embarrass yourself on record.
Yeah, right. I know I already got stumped by not being able to come up with a good analogy. Um those numbers change. Like
Yeah.
at the beginning, you're going to have a lot of people showing up, and you're going to be counting only the deaths because that's all you're going to see.
Hmm.
You won't have seen all of the people that had the virus and didn't die. And that, once you account for all those cases that weren't deadly,
Yeah.
the ratio starts to change, and then it's like it turns out it's not as deadly. And so what we know now is that it's potentially more like, it looks like it's more infectious than SARS, so it was
Yeah.
able to like spread quicker, but it's not more deadly than SARS. So if it's a biological weapon, it's not a very good one. If it's engineered as this guy claims
Mm.
from SARS, it's not they didn't do a very good job.
Now,
If the goal was to kill people.
yeah, well,
What if
maybe
they
the
just want to
goal.
release it as a little threat? Like, see, we can release something. Now we have the souped up one, kind of waiting in
Yeah.
the background if you don't like take us serious here.
Okay, so this is the teaser.
Mm-hmm.
But also maybe it's just a means to get people to vaccinate, right? Which we all know that is mind control, right? That's how they're giving us autism, until we're too weird that we can't do anything. We can't go outside. We need different types of fabrics. Everything's got to be, everyone has autism, and that's where the government wants us.
Right, right.
So maybe it's just a pathway to freak everyone out, and they get everyone, you know, immunized with the, because it's full of mercury and mind control, and that's the path they're doing. It's not actually
Okay.
to
All right.
kill
All
the
right. All right.
population; it's to numb the population.
Except that there's no vaccine for SARS or
Yet,
coronavirus yet.
flu shot,
Okay.
baby. Isn't that what I mean?
No. Different. Totally different.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Here's my next problem with this
Okay.
idea is that I mean, and again, I'll be the first to admit here that I also did not study viruses directly during my PhD. No big deal. I did study genetics and parasites and diseases broadly. But my understanding is that if you were to engineer a virus, like let's say you take SARS and then you want to specifically, you know, whoop it up as you as you so eloquently put it, Jared. Uh, you would specifically target certain areas, certain genes that make
Mhm.
it either more deadly or more infectious. And there's like, viruses, they don't have huge genomes. They're not like these super complex organisms. So it's pretty well defined, like what genes you could tweak in order to make them more deadly and stuff. Like they've done this kind of stuff with flus and things like that. Um, so if you did that, you would be able to like look at the genome. Like anyone could come and sequence the virus from one of these patients that have had it
Mhm.
and died, and just be like, okay, yeah, this part's been altered, this part hasn't been altered, and to me, it would seem like there'd be a very clear uh, evidence of that.
Yeah.
When you look at the genomes of these two viruses, they are similar, of course, SARS and this new one, because they're related. That's a no-brainer. But they're like 80% similar. So it's not like it's SARS that's been very specifically mutated.
Yeah.
It's like the differences in the genome fall within the bounds that you would be like, these are two naturally occurring different viruses, you know? And
Yeah.
that's been set up over years and years and years of research of like, this is why there's different strains of HIV. We know that this is the boundaries. If they're this much different, you can say they're related, but so there's
Right.
that. And then there was this fucking paper that got released by a group in India that they were basically claiming that they found evidence that it was engineered. So the title of the paper was something like um, fuck, I can't even remember what it is now, but they said like dubious. They used some words like dubious or something, or like alarming. Coronavirus shows an alarming similarity to HIV, and they were basically insinuating that they had found these sections of the coronavirus genome that were really, really similar to HIV, and therefore, like, whoa, it looks like somebody took HIV and spliced it in with coronavirus and made it like this thing.
Yeah.
And so they released it on this. There's this like place you can go as a scientist, and you can release your work
Mhm.
before it's been published. So before it's gone through the peer review
Yeah.
checking process. And basically, all the best scientists for disease research and stuff saw this, and instantly all over Twitter and stuff were just like, "That's bullshit. Look at your methods. Your methods suck, first of all. Looks like you
Oh.
did this, like, overnight, and it's garbage." And then they were showing how it's like, if you looked at like, if you just take
Scientist
it.
shit talk. That's so
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
it
reading
was
it on this scientist Twitter feed here.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll link you up to the accounts. It was great.
Your
And then
your
it's like,
controls are dubious, sir.
yeah, your methods are questionable at best. And they showed that, like, one guy showed that, like, this section of the genome, you can, like, there's a whole database, like, there's a whole
Mhm.
database of every, you can just submit genes that you've sequenced to this database so that other people can look at it, right? And, like,
Mhm.
compare it and use it for their research. I used it a lot when I was doing my PhD, no big deal. And it was the one thing you got to know about it is that there's often mistakes in it. That's first of all. But it's also like, once you start doing this, you can Google just like or you can Google in this database just a section of the genome, and you'll find it'll return all sorts of organisms that it's
Yeah.
related to, because everything's kind of related. So it was just like, it didn't make sense. It didn't make
So
sense. And those people got turfed right away. They retracted the paper right away before they even
damn.
submitted it. And so it's
Why
like
even
this
submit it though? Like, why are they just putting it out there for fucking scientist clout?
yeah,
Clout
basically.
chasers?
Basically. They're trying to get likes, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh.
And it didn't work. And if this was actually a big debate in the science, or a big thing in the science community, where people are like, see, this is why you should always go through peer review and, like, publish in the official channels and stuff like this, because you get this garbage out there. And other people were being like, actually, this was better, because if that
Yeah.
took forever to get through peer, like, we figured it out in like a night. Twitter figured it out. Science Twitter figured it out in like one day. Just boom, get it out of here. So anyway, the point is that it's like somebody trying to put up evidence that it was engineered, and it's not.
Yeah.
So whatever his name, Boyle lawyer dude, that was just like, oh, there's a lab that works on this stuff, and therefore it's definitely engineered. It's definitely SARS that's engineered. I mean,
Yeah.
give me a break, bud. Give
Well,
me a break. And then he went on to say that there's no reason to have these labs. The only reason that governments have these labs is to make weapons, which is just stupid. That's just dumb. These labs are there. Like, this is where the Ebola vaccine came
yeah.
from, was these labs. Without these labs, you don't have that. The other thing, the final thing, and that people are pointing to, that I found in this conspiracy, is this link to Canada. Have you guys seen the link to Canada?
I have heard that. Yeah, that the some of the Chinese scientists were like ejected from a lab in Winnipeg,
Right.
which that makes more sense. Like, that's where you want your virus research center, is in just a dead zone already, where if anything gets released, the impact will be virtually nothing. You know,
Right.
you could, that place is a dead zone, you know, post-apocalyptic hellmouth anyways. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. You of course are talking about Winnipeg. Yeah.
That's correct. I am talking about Winnipeg.
The barren wasteland that is Winnipeg. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Perfect place for a lab. Not like in China, where they put it next to Wuhan, a city of 10 million people.
But that is, I've heard Wuhan is the Winnipeg of China.
Well, okay. Robbie, did you hear about this? Did you hear about the Chinese spy scientists?
No, completely in the dark here.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
Shocking.
it's
Yeah, in fact, I had to actually go and download Instagram just so I could understand this woke hub you guys were trying to fill me in on.
wow. All right. So it's like Jared and I are like next level deep, and we're just bringing you along for the
Yeah.
ride, buddy. So
Yeah.
welcome.
So I can relate to, the masses that aren't as deep as you guys.
Mhm.
Well, this is
That's
good
right.
though. This will keep us from getting a little too inside baseball.
Yeah. Because we gotta, we gotta keep it. We gotta keep it real for Robbie here.
Especially when we get into reptiles, Nibiru, and all that sort of thing.
Sumerians, everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Which
that's coming up next. So we'll the Chinese scientists. So basically, what the story was, and this was like last summer, is there was two Chinese nationals. They have lived and worked in Canada for a long time, and they work at this lab, our disease lab, our big old disease lab. And they go back to China all the time and give talks and stuff like this. And they visited the lab in Wuhan when it was getting um, set up, which would make sense that you would have somebody from a lab that's already set up go and like say, hey, this is how you should do it. This is what you shouldn't do, that kind of thing. The fact that they're Chinese also helps.
Mm,
Um, so two stories happened. There was one where it was found out that they were shipping Ebola and some other virus, this Hepina virus, which I think is related to this other virus called Nipah virus, also comes from bats like coronavirus and is pretty
right.
bad. Um, they sent it back to China on a commercial plane, vials of this stuff. So
What
that broke.
airline?
They didn't say. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, let's
That
be
sounds
real.
like
Let's
that
be
sounds like a
real.
Flair Air move.
Yeah, yeah. um, and so that like got made headlines, but like the Public Health Authority of Canada was like, look at no violations were made, like everything was kept the way it's supposed to be. So
Mhm.
don't worry about it. So you flew with Ebola, trust us, we got it. Uh,
No
and then
big
the
deal.
next thing, yeah,
I
no
can't
big
bring
deal.
a pocket knife on a plane or like beard trimming scissors, but feel free to bring
Yeah, Ebola.
Ebola, vials of Ebola.
As long as it's below the 100 mils that
Right.
yeah, it's
Are they just transporting with the cargo? Like you have the luggage boys just whipping that
And
Ebola
a
in the
bunch of
bottom of the plane there?
and a bunch of
yeah,
little tiny shampoo bottles.
it's got that biohazard symbol on it, and you just
Yeah.
see some guy with the big earmuffs on just chucking it into the plane. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it was transported, but anyway, that's something that all these conspiracy websites are
Mhm.
pointing to, and but apparently there's no issue with that. It's fine. Everything's fine.
That's business as
Um,
usual. Like that shit happens all the time, or what?
I guess they do it. I guess it's possible to do. And maybe it was like, okay, we maybe shouldn't have done it that way, or at least people shouldn't have known that we were doing it that way.
Mhm.
But everybody's fine. It's not a problem. And of course, I mean, it's not uncommon for these labs to share viruses. Like you're going to do that. Like if you're working with a certain strain, there's only so many strains of these kept in so many of these
Sharing
labs.
viruses, they do it like a
Yeah.
dorm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like a
Everyone's
like an
sharing viruses.
like an undergraduate college dorm. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like there's certain labs are allowed to work with certain viruses. Not every lab can have the virus, and then you get permission to work with that virus and stuff. And the reason not everyone has it is exactly because they're dangerous, and you don't
Yeah.
want people experimenting with them if they're gonna make weapons and stuff like that. So that's why everything's accredited, everything's internationally monitored and things like this.
Yeah.
Um, and generally, what people are doing is they're researching it in order to find vaccines for
Mhm.
it, and also to understand how the immune system interacts with viruses, how viruses mutate in order to become more deadly, like all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's really preventative stuff. But the big thing was that these two Chinese scientists have since been suspended from the lab, like they've been kicked out of the lab.
Mhm.
And to be honest, nobody knows why. The government's not saying, and the
Like
RCMP,
the lab here in Canada?
yeah, the lab here in Canada. So,
Well,
um,
they probably beefed it. I think they fucking that virus. They broke one of them. Boom.
yeah, right. Yeah, they like dropped it in the coffee room or something like that, and they were like, "Look it, man. Once fine, but twice, you're done. You're done." Uh, yeah, I don't know, but so they said it was for policy breach reasons. So it could be that they were doing shit research, or they were, yeah,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
not following protocols, things like this. The interesting thing though is that like nobody knows, and there was an RCMP investigation. The RCMP were investigating the situation at this lab.
Mhm.
Now that all sounds dubious, and it
Yeah.
is like there's a reason,
Yeah.
but let's look at like you know the truth behind this and try to avoid like spinning it to China has a super virus and they stole it from Canada. China's known to steal
Cell phone
intellectual yeah
plans.
intellectual
Fucking.
property.
I'm on a Xiaomi right now. It's like $50. It's amazing.
Dude, you're letting the Chinese government listen to us podcast about them? turn that thing off. You better put that thing in a glass,
shit! Yeah,
glass of
we'll
water
get
right now.
blacklisted. Yeah. No more. No going to Wuhan for us.
Yeah, you better put that cell phone in a cup of water right now. But I mean, this is true. Like they've taken things, and so there's a guy.
Mhm,
There was a guy in Harvard, chemistry professor, something like this at Harvard,
mhm,
who was caught also like taking money from the Chinese. So he was like,
mhm.
and he didn't disclose it. So it's like they do shady business stuff and steal academic property, intellectual property all the time. We know that. So
Yeah, they don't give a
what's the
fuck.
most likely thing that they were doing? That's it. If you had to point to something nefarious, could also be that these people just like broke some rules or something like that,
Yeah,
funding rules, or who knows. The RCMP could be investigating anything. And there's also a lot of stories from that lab about people were coming forward just being like, it's a terrible place to work. The management was all screwed up. People were like leaving because they were under so much stress because their bosses were screaming at them, and it sounded like there was a whole shit show going on there.
yeah,
But could we say, like, if we wanted to get conspiracy theory, it's because they all had to live in Winnipeg? Maybe,
yeah.
maybe
You'd be
people
pretty
just don't
pissed
like
too if you had to live there.
exactly. So I don't know. I mean, and it's just that it just bothers me that it's like that's the headline, right? Ooh,
Yeah,
Chinese scientists stole virus, and that's where this one comes from. Where if you actually look at it, it's like, sure, there was an issue with some Chinese scientists, but that's all you know. That's it.
but I think though. I mean, it wouldn't seem like it does seem weird though that like this stuff happened with the virus in Canada. They go back to Wuhan. All of a sudden, boom, we got this outbreak in Wuhan. I don't think it's a nefarious plot. I think it's probably just like negligence. Like, is it possible that like just like literally like in Wuhan they fucked up? Somebody caught the virus, went home, bim bam boom. You know, some people got a chest cold,
A severe chest cold.
severe
Okay.
chest cold.
What's possible? I don't
like
think
like that like maybe like that virus center just like through negligence that they
Yeah,
accidentally spilled the beans.
leaked something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They have a Homer Simpson working there, and he was like dumping trash out the back
yeah,
that was actually
exactly.
like live virus into the
They
river.
had a whoop. I'm trying to think of a whoopsie doodle, a woo hump. I'm getting that.
Yeah, I got you. No, I mean, okay, so first of all, I don't know that those Chinese scientists from Canada, if they went back to China, I don't think they did. I think they still live in Canada. Like they didn't.
No,
It's not like they ran home, as far as I
because
know.
that's what all the
Um,
articles make it seem like they like fled.
yeah,
They
exactly.
like
Yeah. No, I
No,
don't think so.
why would they live in China if they released the virus there?
good
This makes
point.
so much sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, ship it back, cargo.
yeah.
Yeah,
Live in Canada.
Ship it via
Fuck the
flare
system. They
air.
got fired.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this is the thing, though, Jared. To your point, I mean, it is possible that there was a security breach or a safety breach or something at a lab, and that it came out. But again, if that was the case, it would be a virus that is already known, like in the lab. This
yeah,
coronavirus, like no one's seen it before. It's the first time that it's
mhm,
been seen in humans. If it was something in the lab, you would think that it would be like, oh shit, Ebola got out. I
yeah,
mean, and that's happened. That happened
yeah,
in the States, in the US.
right.
There was a lab in the US that like there was an Ebola accident, and they were worried that it was gonna break out. I mean, it
Hmm.
ended up being like only 8 people got it, and they quarantined this place in Washington. But so it's
Yeah,
that. So it doesn't seem likely. And that's the other thing these conspiracy nerds are pointing to is they're like, oh, there's been reports that lab is like the safety there is not that good. And it's like, okay, what reports? Like, I don't like, I've
yeah.
read through your blogs, I've read through your things, and nobody's shown these reports.
Well, there's been
So,
reports. They're out there. I've heard of them. I've heard these reports as well. And
Robbie,
people are reporting on it.
have you heard the reports, Robbie?
Yeah, well, I've read the title and moved on.
Yeah.
The reports. But that being said, the other one too is I believe two Chinese journalists allegedly have disappeared who were investigating
Right.
the thing. Like one guy for sharing photo, like was just taking pictures. But I mean, once again, that's like
Standard Chinese
Yeah,
stuff.
standard Chinese practice, disappearing reporters. Like, it's like, yeah, like how many other reporters disappeared that week or day?
Yeah.
You know, like
Exactly.
they could have disappeared for any number of stories they may have ran on the government.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's the thing. And again, so it's like with all these things, there's like a kernel of truth, right? That
Yeah.
then gets blown up into this thing.
Mhm.
Like, and I saw one of these articles that said, like, ooh, this journalist who's, was sharing pictures from within the quarantine zone and stuff is now missing. He's the
Mhm.
same guy that was linked to the whistleblowing doctor that died. And it's like, what do you mean whistleblowing doctor? He's the
Yeah.
doctor that first identified that it was an outbreak. He's not a whistleblower. He's a fucking
Yeah.
doctor doing his
He's
job. Like, it's like,
yeah, that's
what are you
much
talking
different.
about?
Yeah.
It's no blowing of a whistle. But
Yeah.
again, if you look at the kernel of the truth, there's reason to suspect that the Chinese government is secretive and not wanting the whole scale of the outbreak to be known. I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, that's not
they did
even
that with
reason.
SARS.
Yeah, it's not even reason to suspect. That's just what it is. Like, I bet, yeah, they want to keep that shit under wraps as much
Yeah,
as possible.
it's again
Like,
standard
that's how
Chinese
they do
news.
it. Yeah.
Everything's fine. Don't look over here.
Yeah.
Everything's
Don't look
fine.
over. Everything's fine.
We're not putting people in camps. Everyone loves
Yeah.
being Chinese communists. Don't even ask. And there is evidence that they did, that they knew about the outbreak
Yeah,
sooner than they let on,
for
and
sure.
that they knew that the source of the outbreak. So this was a big thing, is that the source that everyone was saying, it was like the market, right?
Ooh.
Like the market was the source of the outbreak. There's, credited science journals, papers showing data that's like, well, most of the people, the original people that they found that had the virus had no connection to the market. So all the people that first got sick,
Mm.
they looked at them, they interviewed them. It's like, were you at the market? And a lot of them weren't. And then they're like, well, did you have contact with someone who was at the market or someone who was sick? And they didn't. So it's
Yeah.
like, there's some other source.
Now,
Okay.
didn't it come? Speaking of source, did it come like you're saying bats and snakes? Correct?
Yeah, okay. So the
Snake
snake
bats?
thing,
I don't want to put words in
100%.
your mouth, but I'm hearing snake bat.
Yeah, you're cutting
Is
out.
that
Is
a
that snake bite?
Chinese? Yeah, I'm hearing Chinese developed snake bat, human hybrid snake bat, and then that's how the virus became weaponized.
Yeah. And
Was a hybrid human hybrid snake bat, correct?
well, what I heard is they're shipping the virus infected snake bats via WestJet back to Winnipeg right now. WestJet's the only airline that's flying to China right now.
Snake bat Airways.
Yeah, Snake Bat Airline. Snake Bat's maybe a band name, maybe, I don't know.
I was
Viral,
just thinking, I was like, that's a good band name.
viral snake bats.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the snake link, I don't think there's a link with snakes.
So
So the bats for sure. So bats are generally the
another
the
reptile, correct?
yeah, you're correct. Look at the wings. Look at the wings.
Look at the wings.
Yeah.
That is a reptile.
Yeah.
No, those are not birds.
They're definitely
It's just
not
it's
birds.
just another conspiracy. I don't know, but a lot of people say those are birds. I don't think they are.
Yeah. uh, Bats, magnets. Who knows how they work? um, no, so the bats are like generally for a lot of these viruses are the natural hosts, right? And so they've co-evolved with bats, so the bats don't really get sick because
And why do we care if all these bats are dying?
they don't.
We should kill the bats
Kill the bats.
with a snake bat.
All right, all right. Oh, some kind of
a bat.
some kind of tool for
If
whacking
only we
bats.
could engineer our snake bat into a bat.
Anyway, so yeah, so the bats have them, and then like they poop on other animals or in other places, and other animals get infected. So with the
German.
yeah, is usually nice German poop joke. I got it.
Mhm.
And then the humans will get it from that second animal.
Right.
And the reason that it's deadly in humans then is because our immune system has never seen it before, so we have no defenses against it.
Bats are just nasty as hell, and like nothing fucks.
Yeah, yeah. And so with this new one, I think they said the link is bats for sure, and then it might be some kind of a weasel, some kind of a I can't remember the scientific name
Oh,
for the group of animals that belong to the weasel
weasel family.
Yeah. So, yeah, weasels, wolverines. I think
What?
I think hyenas are in that group. Yeah,
What?
yeah.
You got a lot of weasels over there.
I don't know. Well,
I've
I
never
mean,
seen a weasel, running around.
maybe a mongoose.
I guess that makes sense, right? If rats can spread it, right? Like a weasel's just a
Yeah. Well,
fluffier rat.
well,
I guess.
rats generally though don't. As far as I know, there's. Well, I mean, no, that's not true. There is viruses that come from rats, but rats are more. They get blamed for a lot of the bacteria virus
Right.
or diseases because they're just generally dirty.
Hmm.
And so they have like dirty things, or they have ticks on them that then bite you, and the tick actually carries the disease. So anyway, so yeah, that's the breakdown. I got one other headline from Woke Hub that I take serious issue with,
Okay.
and that is Hong Kong scientist states that coronavirus could infect 80% of humanity. That's the headline. That's probably
It
what
could.
you. That's yeah. That's what you read
It
and
could.
moved on, right, Robby?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like a conspiracy. That's pretty factual.
Yeah, well, okay, so then you open up the article and start reading, and of course it's just like there's just links on links to
Yeah.
random stuff that's just not very helpful.
Yeah. Now,
Uh,
if
but
I
then
could
you
pause you
go,
there,
okay, fine,
just to talk about. Sorry. Well, I
go
don't
for
want
it.
to break up your flow of thought too much, but like the links on links is a very big, marker of like any conspiracy theory journalism. And I'm doing air quotes
Yeah.
for journalism. Like when I got into this, I read this book called Living Inside the Matrix by David Icke.
Oh,
It's like
classic.
1,000-page book. And I was like reading it, and there's all these citations, and I was like, "Whoa!" It's like he's citing everything. Like this must be a very like I guess this is science, Like there's texts that have like this stuff that he's citing, and then you go read the citation, and it's just other fucking books that he's written,
Yeah.
other nut job books that he himself has written. It's like, well, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's a similar thing with the links. It's just like, well, it's nothing.
Yeah. Well, and so that's the thing is, so then I follow the link, right, to like, well, what did this guy say? Like, who is this expert, and what did he say? And it brings you to Zero Hedge, which is I don't know if you're familiar with Zero Hedge, but also questionable. And this
Zero Hedge as
is
part of the Weasel family.
yeah, yeah. So this article on Zero Hedge is written by none other than Tyler Durden. And
From Fight Club.
that's correct. The real guy from Fight Club.
Now we're talking.
That's right. Next to
Yeah.
the number one douchebag avatar, Tyler
Yeah.
Durden.
And I get it, like, okay, it's anonymous. The guy has to be anonymous because if the Chinese found him, he would get disappeared too. But you actually look at like, okay, so there's a legit professor who studies this stuff. And you got to go down to like 3/4, almost the end of the article to actually find the quote that they're getting this headline from. And this is what the guy says. So epidemiologists and modelers were trying to figure out what was likely to happen. Is 60 to 80% of the world's population going to get infected? Maybe not. Maybe this will come in waves. That's the quote. And from that, we get professor says 80% of the world is going to be infected. That's just
Wait, did he even say 80? What was it? What didn't it say 20 to 60 or what was it there?
60 to 80.
60 to 80. They're like, let's fucking take the high number.
But he's proposing it as a question. Like somebody maybe asked him that. Is 60 to 80% of the world's population going to get infected? Question mark.
Well,
maybe
also,
not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not is the next words.
Yeah, I mean, like I guess 80% of the world could get infected by it.
Yeah.
If no one did anything, and it could happen.
Yeah.
Probably won't. Very good chance it won't.
Yeah.
If they choose to release it elsewhere, I mean.
Well, good point, Robby. Good point. It all depends on where they choose to release it.
That's right.
But that just like I don't know, man. And I actually spent way too much time on this other guy's
Getting angry.
yeah, and this other guy's blog. I can't remember what it was on. He was writing on Medium or something, and I think I found it on Twitter and went to it. But it was like, you know how like sometimes the websites give you like an estimated time that it's going to take to read this article. It was like hour and a half. This is an estimated hour and a half read, and I was just like, holy shit. How long did it take you to write this? And then you start reading it, and it's like, well, not that long, because the quality of writing is very poor.
That's why it takes an hour and a half, because you have to go back because the sentence structure doesn't make any sense and the punctuation's all wrong.
And anything over 3 minutes, I'm clicking next article.
Right. Okay. Wow. That's why I get all your information from podcasts and Twitter, man. That's the way.
Woke up.
Yeah.
Get through it quickly.
Yeah. And it was just a mess of links and just all sorts of garbage and stuff. But I think that's the interesting thing to me in this, is that there's usually a kernel of truth that then just gets like totally misconstrued, totally
blown out of proportion.
Not even misconstrued. I think it's like outright lies. And you have this dude, this law professor guy who's like now 70. And I mean, I'm trying to pick on old people, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe
they're the worst. They should be rounded up, put in camps, and studied to see what nutrients we can get from their bodies.
Given a virus
But I don't want to rag on old people too much. Give them a virus.
Yeah. Listen, I'm tweeting right now. Scientist with PhD, Brad Van Paradox hates old people.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like, I don't know. It's the same.
I mean, who
continue?
Old people. Yeah, I'm just gonna say old people are the first ones to get got by viruses, so I can see why he's so riled up about this.
Yeah, it could be. It reminds me of the, there was that guy, it's a Canadian Air Force major or general or something, and he came out about UFOs. He started talking about UFOs, and he did all this stuff, and everyone was like, "Oh, this guy's super credible. He's a UFO guy."
Yeah,
it's like I looked into it, and from what I could tell, he never had any UFO experiences while he was serving in the military.
Which guy are you talking about?
I can't remember his name, but like he was like
It's not Bob Lazar, right?
No. He's a Canadian. He was a Canadian.
Oh yeah. And he like a defense minister.
Yeah, he like testified and in some Senate thing, or I don't know, something.
Dude, like that. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, it was just like there was nothing there.
Yes, well, and the thing is just like he didn't have any experiences, as far as I could tell, during his military service. It was just like after he retired, he started like reading emails and letters that people would send him because he was in a position with the Air Force about UFOs, and got into it, and then was like, now I'm convinced that and he just retrospectively went through his career and was like, well, this could have made sense if it was, and this could have made sense. It's like, so anybody is susceptible to falling for some bullshit, just like this professor, this law professor. I mean, granted, he's a good lawyer. It looks like he's a really good lawyer, and he drafted something about bioterrorism. Also sounds like he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about when it comes to viruses. And he's just out there talking to these other nutballs. It's just like, yep, Google virus lab. Does it exist? Yep. Well, there you go.
Well,
case closed.
Exactly. I don't want to rag on, older people, boomers and whatnot, but there's a certain, I don't know, subsect of age that seems to just love Q Anon.
Right.
Like, it's not millennials, it's not Gen Z. Like, it's.
I mean, I'll admit right here, I love QAnon.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome, man. Like
for the QAnoners. I mean, these words, the Quanoners. I mean, this is going to bite me in the ass when one of them actually does something dumb and actually starts killing people. Which
it almost happened.
Yeah, it did.
Comet Pizza.
That's right.
And he's like, take me to your, open up the basement, let the kids out. And they're like, man, we don't have a basement, man. There's no basement in this building.
Well, maybe we should keep Robby up to speed on. Have you heard of QAnon, Robby?
Negative.
All right, Jared, you want to take it away?
Yeah. You might want to get a drink, Rob. You're gonna be here for a couple of hours now when we get into this. But no, okay. So this does. I did have like a headline also from Woke Hub. Oh, which by the way, the tagline for Woke Hub is "Awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead." Woke Hub.
Ooh. So
Yeah.
am I sleeping or am I dead?
I don't know. If you're up, and I guess if I'm on this site, wait, I'm dead. I guess I'm awake. Very confusing. But it says QAnon reveals Vatican Rothschild reptilian connection behind the deep state. Now these are all big claims.
This is a greatest hits of conspiracy theories.
Yeah, that's why it stuck out. Like this has all of them. Like this has most of them kind of wrapped up in one big crazy ball. So yeah, we'll start with QAnon. QAnon is the alleged source that's supposedly within Donald Trump's cabinet or in his administration, who's leaking information, who Donald Trump knows about him, and he's working with Trump to help leak all of this deep state, black op information out to the public through, I think the dark web or maybe just Reddit. He may just be on Reddit.
4chan.
Yeah, and whether QAnon, being like it's one person, multiple people. So there's just all this info going out, and there's no way to fact check it, and people just gobble it up.
Well, and isn't the theory that the Q has revealed that Trump was recruited to specifically come into the administration and the government and root out all of the deep state operatives who engage in child sex trafficking and they're lizard people or whatever. So Trump is actually the superhero, super spy guy.
Yeah.
That they
took a look. They took a look at everybody in the United States, and they're like, who is just super smart? Who is going to keep their mouth shut? Yeah, who has the best words? Who can get in here? Who seems to just love humanity and care about people?
Right.
Trump's going to get
it. And is super healthy, can take on the job. Is not going to die from a heart attack.
Yeah.
Anytime.
He's just going to be super committed, knows how to chunk up his time properly.
Yeah. Can focus, stay on
task. Focus on one task.
Yeah, that's it. So, and then they leak out all of these different things alleging, child sex trafficking and, Epstein, of course, is involved.
Yeah.
Which again is like, there's a nugget of truth. It's like, yeah, that guy was a pedophile and was doing some shady shit and knew famous people. So yeah, but so
and he was murdered by the Clintons. I mean, I don't think that's not a conspiracy theory. It's like, it's definitely probably what happened. Like,
it does look like you.
It might fall under conspiracy theory.
I read an article. There was an 80% chance.
Yeah, some guy in Hong Kong said there's a 80% chance. Some guy in Hong Kong asked the question: is there a chance he was murdered by the Clintons? Maybe not.
Some say yes.
Yeah.
Some say no.
Yeah. Well, what did it like? Okay, so QAnon is a whole box of crazy that I don't know that we can like.
Whole bag of bees, as they say.
Yeah. That I don't know if we can untangle it all.
Yeah, no.
What's the point? The interesting.
No reason to untangle a ball of bees.
Yeah, you see a ball of bees, you just let it be.
You let it be.
You let it buzz on by. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, buzz on by. I'm getting that fucking bee ball.
But I'm curious then is like, and this is like, we talk about science stuff on this show. What is the, like, why are conspiracy theories seem to be so much in vogue these days? Is it social media? What is it?
I think it's a combination of social media.
Yeah.
I think it's also like people, I think it's like the way we digest media right now. As like Rob was saying, it's like you just read the title, you don't really get into it, you're not checking links, you're not doing any like work on your own, you're just taking like everything you read at face value. As well as I think a lot of people who are like into these conspiracy theories, I would say like probably a big number of it. Like I'm just projecting, this is hearsay, conjecture, much like they're doing. But I would hazard to guess these are not our best and brightest, our champions of industry. They're not, satisfied in their lot in life, and thereby being like, well, no, I'm not the broken one here. Like, the system's fucked up, and it's rude. That's why I can't get ahead, is because the deep state, and the Jew conspiracy, when whatever is they're plotting against me, and that's why my life's a fucking mess, and I don't have any control over my life. So, and by like saying that I understand these things and no one else does, like, they're all asleep, I'm awake in my fucking car that I live in, and
birds aren't real.
Yeah, birds aren't real. Birds are just drones.
Yeah.
Come to spy on me.
That is one of my favorite ones. Birds aren't real.
Yeah.
I really like that one.
But I honestly think that like a lot of like conspiracy theories and stuff, it helps people like give more like kind of like a feeling of power or understanding to their life. That like they understand this very complicated thing.
Yeah.
And no one else does.
But then, okay, so yeah, and I mean, I tend to agree with all that. But then then it speaks to psychology, right? Like, more than, I think more than, well, I don't know. I mean, social media obviously amplifies it, but it's like back in the day before social media, like say when it was just newspapers, there must have been still people that believe in this. They just couldn't like organize, and I guess like newspapers that were printing this stuff were harder to find.
Like it's always been out there. Like I said, the reason like I found out about it would have been probably like 2010. Internet was very much around, but I read it. I got very stoned and found this book and read into it, and then got online. That was my channel into it.
Right.
And then I went down a very deep rabbit hole. Being up at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
In bed,
and I guess
reading about
the next part then too is the algorithms of YouTube and social media that just like feed you what you want to see, like once you start something. So I don't know, Robbie, what do you think? Lonely people, social media, what is it?
Oh boy, have you guys seen the Mel Gibson movie, Conspiracy Theory?
Yeah, that's old school. That's old school. That's like 2003 or something. No, that's like in the 90s.
That's not older. I think like 98 or
schizophrenia. Yeah. Also, Mel Gibson, not very friendly to Jews.
Yeah.
I mean, life imitating art there.
I just think you have so many people that can just say whatever they want, whenever they want, and there's no repercussions. There's no fact checking. I don't know. Like you said, that scientist guy can just post whatever he wants, and it stirs a debate. But there's no one that kind of blocks him from Twitter.
Yeah,
he can go tomorrow
big
and post
echo chamber
else, right?
effect.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think
if you go on these conspiracy forums, it's just a big echo chamber. Right? Everybody reinforcing their fucking wacky ideas.
Oh yeah, that's a big part of it. I think, I don't know, the thing that gets me is the psychology of it, right? Like there's a psychology thing of, and I think it speaks to like the day and age where people do, and I think this is what you were talking about, Jared. It's like people do feel alienated. Like I think a lot of people feel alienated. I'll start to pick on some old people again, but it's like I think there's a lot of I'm gonna go out and go ahead and gender them. A lot of men. It's usually men.
There's not a lot of women in the conspiracy theory community.
Oh, I think we got a new conspiracy theory article going on here.
Right. So this is a hot take, guys. Hot take alert.
Well, everyone, women's brains just can't conceptualize these big ideas. That's why it's the big old white man brain to figure it out.
Right. You need a Trump brain to figure it out.
Yeah, you need a big Trump melon.
Yeah.
To the bottom of this b-ball.
But it seems like there's I even look at as much as I try not to look at Facebook. If you look at Facebook, the people that like are posting the political memes.
Uncle Gary.
The stuff that's just like, Trudeau's traitor and, global warming's not real and all this stuff.
Yeah.
It's like generally I look at them and it's like if you go through their activities, like you're spending all day online, like all day. So you're not doing anything else, which means you're not leaving the house, which means you're not interacting with other people. And this is your form of community, right? And for some people, they're choosing to do that, whether it's, they're just, I don't know, lazy or retired or something. I think a lot of them are unemployed. And this is what you're saying, Jared. It's like they have no control over their life, or they don't feel validated and stuff. It's really, I don't know. And there's something I've talked about on this podcast before.
To be fair, you are talking to a man in a house coat in his underwear right now.
I'm talking.
It's just like they're not engaging with the outside world. They're not leaving the house. It's like,
I do now recognize the irony in me. Me of all people. At least I'm talking to two men in house coats right now.
Yeah. The shame is just the auditory medium.
Yeah, I mean, at least I'm dressed. My time zone, it's a bit later, so I've actually gone through a day. Yeah. So there's that. Okay. And I do recognize now the irony of me being someone who lives and works on the internet. That's my job. Is I'm on the internet. That's my other job, Jared. I told you not to talk about that.
Yeah.
What do you think funds this operation?
Yeah, that's right. Check me out at Butthole Surfer 420 on Camnet.
.de. I'm in Germany.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I'm glad we did the virus one though, because that's actually something I can speak to.
Yeah, it's like, well, in a lot of these, like you see it like when these conspiracy theories kind of like break out of the the fringes of media, right? Like the coronavirus thing, like that's pretty mainstream. I think conspiracy, like the big one being Epstein.
Yeah.
Like I think that was the first time that kind of came like I've seen like a full conspiracy theory that anyone who's like into this like bullshit like just knows about the full story. And then all of a sudden it was like there's memes all over the place about how he killed himself.
I think that's a big thing too with a lot of these things. Memes drive so much stuff now. Like you could argue that memes have hijacked the culture. Like it's like I think Trump does stuff just for the memes, so he's a slave to the memes. He's and like the Republican right-wing meme machine is on point.
He put out this tweet the other day that fucking killed me. Like I read it and I was like, God, I kind of want him to stay in office. It's so wild and funny. It was like Elizabeth Warren, sometimes referred to as Pocahontas.
Yeah.
And then he goes on, it's like sometimes referred to as the name I made up and gave to her.
Yeah.
Like put it out there. Like a lot of people are saying this name. I don't know.
Yeah.
Pocahontas, I guess people have been calling her. I don't know where that came from. Anyways.
Well, and you must have saw that Bloomberg reached out to all the meme accounts, to try and get so memes are like it seems as though it's a hugely influential thing. I wonder if there's been like any data on like that can really characterize this. I mean, I know for sure that they've you can look at and this was that whole Cambridge Analytica thing, right? Like it's like you can with all the data that gets collected about us, they can hyper target ads to like very specific demographics in swing states or swing zones or swing districts or whatever. So I mean the psychological effect is there. And I mean look at they've looked at the psychological effect of phones, just people being addicted to it, the dopamine spike that you get when you get the notification stuff. So there's a real impact going on. But it would be interesting to see like meme culture, how like in 10 years how that's like going to be. It's like when people started putting up political flyers or something. I don't know, like it's does that sound too crazy that it's like this is a big moment in how people are consuming media?
I think in 20 years we'll all be memes. I think they'll just run your brain through some sort of deli slicer and upload it into a meme, and you'll just be a meme that gets passed around.
We'll all
and then
memeing each other.
That's how you'll survive now. Your consciousness will just be a meme out there to be passed around by future generations.
Well, and then we'll just start broadcasting our meme selves into the universe and infecting other worlds.
That's-
You know, there'll be these like pristine, beautiful alien cultures living in harmony and, you know, peace on their beautiful avatar planet, you know, flying dragons and stuff. And then they'll just start getting bombarded with memes.
Yeah, spammed by deep fried memes that
Yeah.
aren't really funny. They're
Yeah.
just
Yeah. And then
strange.
100 years later, we'll look at them and they'll all be fat, just scrolling through their phones. Just look at the meme, man. Look at the memes.
Okay. And now, so I'm going to come on to the second line of the headline.
Oh,
right? So
we're not even.
That was the first line. I told you, strap in. QAnon reveals Vatican Rothschild reptilian connection. Right now, the Rothschilds, you know, I believe they like, the belief is that they run the world. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, they're worth trillions of dollars.
Wealthy Jewish family.
Yeah, they are very, like, they are. I mean, I don't know what their when I've like read about them, like their net worth or whatever isn't even like the real net worth's not available. Right, they're on that like a lot of Saudi princes, you know, like we're worth like a few $1 trillion or whatever it is. It's not even.
Yeah.
You know, they're beyond like government.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the overarching idea is that they are, of course, shape-shifting reptile. Yeah, exactly. Sideways blinkers.
Blinkers.
Who come from the planet Nibiru, which, as we all know, is on an elliptical cycle around the sun.
Yeah.
And orbit, and it comes every 12,000 years, I believe. It passes between Earth and the sun.
Something like this, yeah.
Yeah, and now, well, you would ask, why are these shape-shifting reptiles here?
It's a valid question.
They're here to harvest our energy. Right now,
I thought it was our gold.
Well, it's both. It's a little from column A and a little from column B. I think it's mostly the energy, but they're like, well, they do have the gold. So yeah, they want our gold so they can put it in their atmosphere because they're so close to the sun. They need the gold to reflect the sun away to put it in their atmosphere.
Does that work? I thought gold was like really susceptible to heat, like it melts and it's really malleable. That's why.
You would. Yeah. Well,
wouldn't it be not a good? I don't know.
You'd say maybe gold's very heavy, yeah, and it melts easily. This is not a good thing to put into the sky to stop heat. You would say that, you know. But
who am I to judge the lizards? They obviously
yeah. Listen, yeah, I for one will not question our reptilian overlords.
Yeah,
Brad.
If I disappear, but they're here, you know why.
Yeah, they're here to. They're here to steal our energy, I think. Like, they're energy vampires.
Right.
You know, and they've built apparently like a big overarching conspiracy is that the pyramids.
Yeah.
You know, and
I've heard of them.
Yeah, all that stuff are on power sources, and that's blocking everything, right?
Right.
So the reptiles are the Rothschilds. They are the presidents. The royal family, of course. I mean, take one look at Queen Elizabeth and tell me that's not a lizard.
I think
she does. Listen.
I think she does a pretty good job of hiding it. Her son, though, Charles, total lizard.
What? That sweetheart? No.
That dreamboat? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, fuck off. But I mean, and then of course the Vatican, right? And now this is the Q Anon post that they're putting out here. It says, and QAnon's also like it's very cryptic for some reason, right? It's almost like they have nothing to put out. There's like, we'll put cryptic things out and let people draw their own wild conclusions.
Oh yeah, no, it's not that though. It's because they can't. If they put out too much specifics, their cover will get blown.
And they're gonna, exactly. Oh, that's why. Yeah, good point. It's not because they'll pigeonhole themselves, and be able to just prove wrong, and or if they keep it very vague, if anything happens, they can be like, "See, didn't you see what I?"
It's not like horoscopes.
Yeah, it's not.
Which are clearly bullshit. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. I'm not an idiot. But it says symbolism will be their downfall. Money, all caps, period. Power, all caps, period. Influence, all caps, period. The bite that has no cure. NSA.
Huh.
This has been construed to the headline, QAnon reveals Vatican Rothschild reptilian connection behind the deep state.
Oh, wait, that was the proof?
That was the proof. This is...
I mean, I totally get it. I don't know about you guys. And
then to preface the quote, that QAnon also released a meme. It's a meme that says, if Satanists took over the Vatican, would you notice? And then there's a picture from inside the Vatican of a hall that kind of looks like a snake mouth, and then a picture of a snake. Yeah.
Is it a snake or a snake bat?
It doesn't appear it appears to be a snake of the regular genus. Snakeus slicerus. I don't see any wings, but the wings could be
hidden,
tucked into its underbelly, as they are wanting to do.
Yeah, that's right.
And then like this article just goes fucking on and on and on about a bunch of nonsense. Like, it was hard to follow. Like, it seems like it was like copy and pasted like a bunch of different crap together.
You don't say.
This
would be like, if this was like pre-internet days, it would all be cut out magazine letters.
Yes. Yeah. It would look like a ransom note. But it says here, it's talking about the Vatican, the reptilians, and it says, this is where it becomes very helpful to recount a story told by former U.S. Air Force doctor Bill Deagle, MD, who in 1992, this is his account, with his run-in with Baron Guy de Rothschild in 1992. I woke up in the middle of the night, bolted upright, and sat up. It's the same thing. And all the lights were on because I have periodically gone to the restroom or whatever. I had all the lights on.
Don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions. Like, the guy's like, why is all the lights on? I was like, don't ask questions. Like, get up or whatever.
Yeah. I go pee or whatever else people do.
Whatever else a human body should do.
Yeah. It definitely wasn't anything weird, though.
I wasn't laying eggs.
Yeah.
I have all the lights on because I need to keep my eggs hot. So as I had all the lights on, and this guy was standing in front of me with what I would call a $5,000 tuxedo, not a gray hair on his head, mid-50s, slim and trim, a dreamboat. He didn't say dreamboat, but that's what that sounds like. I said.
I mean, it sounds like classic dreamboat.
So this is the doc. Yeah, this is the doctor talking. I said, how did you get in here? And he said, it's wonderful to see you, my son. I said, you're not my father. And I looked at this guy, and he looked like French nobility, right? And I said, who are you? He says, I'm Baron Guy de Rothschild, the Pindar.
Ooh.
And I had this really kind of what I call a check or kind of cringe in my spirit. And I knew right away, because I have this gift, right? Without getting into a big, long discussion, I knew right away. I said, I know who you are. You are the representative of Lucifer, power that controls the earth. He says, yes, I am the CEO of Earth, Inc. And I'm the man that sits on the 13th chair of the Druid Council. I want you to be my understudy, and I will transcend. When I transcend, I want you to take over my job. Good job, Oliver. And he said, no, I'm not going to do that. And he said, we know your bloodlines. We know your genetics. We know everything about you, and you're a perfect replacement for me. And I said, no. So this is just a really concise account of what this doctor who worked in the military for some time accounted, and this is their proof. Another sweet chunk of anecdotal proof.
Oh yeah, from about a Pindar.
Yeah. Oh, do you want to know what a Pindar is? Pindar means penis of the dragon.
If I had to guess one thing, it would have been some sort of dragon appendage.
And and for this answer, it says we can look into information about Pindar supplied by British researcher David Icke.
And it all comes back.
It all comes back. Everything's circle, baby. Life's like a flat disc, man.
Oh man. Well, my brain hurts.
Yeah. So I mean, that is the ravings of a madman.
Yeah, but multiple
Correct?
madmen, right? I mean, because that's the thing. Like, how does anyone verify who Q is? Like, these posts, like, I could just start posting as Q.
That's what's happening. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, people are just there's no way to verify it. Like, it can't come from any. Like, I don't know. Like, let's say there is a guy.
One guy.
There's one guy.
Yeah.
And he's working with Trump. And he's going to put out information about what's popping off.
I mean, you had me up until he's working with Trump.
Him and Trump are having meetings.
Yeah.
And they're like, Trump is like, we need to drain this swamp. This is what I talked about.
Unless those meetings are railing Sudafed and crushing Kentucky Fried Chicken, I don't know that they're happening.
It's just Donald Trump, yeah, snorting Sudafed with a janitor who works at the White House. He's like, you got to put it out. Here's the thing. Okay.
Anyway, let's say there's one guy.
Yeah, there's one guy. And he's working with Trump. He's got to get the info out. So I guess, yeah, like you said, he speaks in these riddles not because he's annoying, but because, he can't blow his cover. And then I guess he would release it probably on the dark web, on some sort of forum, and then that would get disseminated into the public.
Right.
Right? Is that the best way to take down the government? Because it seems pretty fucking stupid to me, but seems like there could be a better way to go about this.
Yeah. I mean, I'm no super spy though, and I've never dealt with a Pindar or a Pingina or whatever, so I don't know what it's like to come face to face with the sex organs of a dragon.
Yeah. And you better wish you never do, bud.
Yeah, I hope I never do. I mean, I'm assuming they checked my bloodline and my genetics, and I'm not the perfect fit.
You're not
CEO of Earth Inc.
I thought Earth was a limited company, but I guess they incorporated.
Yeah, man.
Tax, I guess you pay a little more tax, but there's ways around that. I think they're based on the Cayman Islands.
I'm assuming Naribu is a
tax haven.
It's a tax haven. An intergalactic tax haven.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Or maybe Earth Inc. is we're the tax haven for the Galactic Council. Like the lizard people, they live out in this broader,
that's why
universe that we don't know. Yeah, and they're here. They're not stealing our stuff. They're stashing stuff here so that they don't get taxed by the other, the Federation and all the,
That's why the Greys are here. That's why the reptilians are here. That's why the Nordic aliens they're all here.
We're the Cayman Islands, the Cyprus, the Bahamas of the universe.
Yeah, I was going to say we're the Switzerland, but there's no way we're the Switzerland of the universe.
No.
This is a fucking mess.
Yeah. No.
Back to it, I'd say we're the Winnipeg of the universe.
Yeah, they're testing all their viruses here. Yeah, stashing all their gold. Yeah.
Eggs.
Yeah, eggs.
Space eggs.
Oh man. Wow. This has been a delightful journey.
Yeah, I don't know if it got anywhere. I don't know if we but I guess, that's the nature of this anyways. You don't get anywhere with it. You don't get any closure.
I don't know.
You just get riled up.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly, man. I mean, at least like I said, at least the coronavirus stuff is something that we could try to address, And I think that's actually important because if you look at the way that, Trump, super spy Trump is handling the coronavirus stuff. He just tweets out, everything's fine. Don't worry about it. We sealed the border 100%. It's like, no, you didn't. You can't. That doesn't work. And he's gutted the response teams that the US has, which is arguably was one of the best.
Really?
Yeah. But Obama put in all of this stuff because the first big Ebola outbreak happened when Obama was in. And I mean, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control in the US is one of the preeminent organizations for dealing with outbreaks and all this kind of stuff. He beefed all that stuff up, made outbreak response coordinators. He understood that, you gotta, if you want to deal with these things, it's like fighting terrorism. You have to fight them fight the disease before it gets to your country. So you want to go to places where these things will happen, Africa, Asia, where these diseases are normally circulating and can pop off, and help them build up the infrastructure so that it doesn't become an outbreak. And one of the first things Trump did was just like cut all of that stuff. He just cut it.
Smart.
We don't need this stuff anymore. And then imposing the travel ban. And this was something that like got talked about a lot.
Oh yeah.
Because people were like, a bunch of countries were like, we're stopping travel from China. Like, you're not
Mhm.
to come. And all of the research and all of like the WHO and all this stuff, which I mean, okay, sure, WHO probably run by the lizards, but they do good work.
Of course, one world government. Yeah. We didn't touch on that, but it's one world government. All right, I'm done.
They do good work, and the data shows that it's like travel bans don't work. Like you're not gonna, like, you might slow down the spread of a virus, but the point is that you can't tell, like, the cat's already out of the bag. By the time that you realize there's this situation, it's like people have already traveled around, and in the interconnected world that we have, it's not going to happen. So travel ban actually inflicts more damage because there's the economic cost, and by not by restricting travel to places, you basically seal off places that could use your help from getting it, when what you should be doing is just like screening people as they come through, if that's what you want to do, or just as soon as people get sick, you find them, and you say, okay, you're sick. Who did you come? You put them down. But it's just like, I mean, look at have you guys heard about the situation of this cruise ship in Japan?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's a nightmare.
Yeah. Well, and so this is kind of a microcosm of like what like the Chinese government did it in the cities too, right? They're just like, shut it down, like nobody's going anywhere. So you have these people that were on this cruise ship, and there was a couple people that had the virus, or it was suspected. Well, they did have the virus, and rather than like just orderly fashion, getting people off and screening them, testing them. Do you have it? Do you not have it? Do you have symptoms? If you have symptoms, we're going to keep you in quarantine for 2 weeks until we know you're healthy. You're going to get treatment. So, you're, even if you do have it, you're likely to survive because we can treat you. And then anyone who doesn't, let them go. Instead, they keep everybody on there. So what does that become? They all just start getting the virus. Like,
fucking getting it, yeah.
Just like keep people in there, and they all get it. Like 200 people got it or something.
Yeah. Now instead of having 2 people who had it, now 200 people have it.
Exactly. And I mean, people have been saying this since the beginning of the outbreak, and I've talked about it on this podcast before too, where it's just like, okay, yeah, so it seems like a good idea in theory to like shut down these cities and quarantine them, but unless you have like the resources inside those cities helping the people, finding the people who are sick, and then finding out who they came in contact with, going to test their family, like, and finding the chain, right? And like making sure that everybody, you quarantine the people that need to be quarantined. It doesn't matter, because it's just you're never gonna stop it. Like, it's just gonna keep passing around between those people, and then it breeds more fear. And that's the thing that like these conspiracy theory things, and this is what I'm linking to with like the asinineness of some of the responses. It's like, so yeah, we should be out there talking about like that this conspiracy theory shit is bullshit, because you get people were in SARS. I think there was reports of, I mean, this was back in the day, but anyway, people got so afraid that they started buying all the face masks, right? Like to walk around because they didn't want to, which is okay.
By the way, here in Vancouver, tons of people wear them, just regular day.
Yeah. And
I mean,
what happened is that like they were actually worried that they were going to run out of those masks for the healthcare workers, the people that actually needed them. So it's like, in a situation like this, yeah, if you want to wear a mask, yeah, I guess so, but it's like, just cover your mouth when you cough.
No.
Don't be an animal. No, I refuse. You seen these?
What are you, the guy in the subway giving me shit?
Yeah. You seen
cough where I want.
You seen these beauties? You seen these cuticles? I just got a pedicure, man. I ain't coughing on this shit.
I'm coughing on my hand, you weirdo.
But that's it. I mean, I felt that one is relevant. I mean, the snake people, lizard talk, I love that just because it's a blast.
Well, I just picked that because it was it had it all.
Right.
That everything, it was just like a big shit mix of all the like the craziest of the conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Well, I mean, this has been a good run through the conspiracy theory stuff. I mean, we've been going for an hour and a half here, though. So I think we've done enough for today. I know we wanted to cover some other stuff, Robbie, about young blood transfusions, and we'll get to that next time.
Oh, blood boys. Yeah, maybe next time we'll get into the blood boy thing.
We'll get into that next time, because I think we should do some of these again where we bring up some science stuff or some whatever weird stuff that we haven't had a chance to like flesh out, and we'll use this as the bouncing board. We'll bounce it off each other. We'll figure it out. We'll work to come to the truth together. Or
until we've riled each other up and we're just hunkered down in our places and we won't leave.
Well, you showed us your store of sweet pickles there.
Yeah, I do have.
You got a lot of canned goods, pickled goods. So
yeah, if shit ever hits the fan, I've got plenty of food to eat, but I will have very bad diarrhea. It's all abrasively spicy. Abrasively spicy pickled goods.
All right, boys. Thanks for doing it. Thanks for doing the podcast. Like I said, we should do it again.
Thanks for having us on, man.
It's a blast. It's a blast. And thank you all for listening. We'll catch you next time.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening. As always, follow the show on Instagram or Twitter at 2BradForYou. You can get me on Instagram at Twitter at bvamparadon. Wherever you're getting your podcast, please do subscribe, like, comment. Really helps us out. So until next time, don't be a sheeple.